In today's video, I'm going to be going over my updated tier list for the Forbidden format. Okay, so I appreciate this is a little bit overdue. I'm aware the last time I made a tier list or even generally talked about this kind of stuff was before the set even released. The reason for that is quite good. It's basically... We had the format, right, and for like 2-3 weeks we were starting to get a hang of it. We kind of knew what was going on, and then they just dropped like the the patch change, like the buffs on us. So that immediately meant I couldn't release this at all. I'd actually already recorded one of these and I had it scheduled, and the day it was to go up, they announced all those buffs to those cards, so obviously that video had to go straight in the bin, but I think it's a good thing it did, because I do think actually I was quite wrong on a few of the things, so it's better that I record this, re-record this properly, and try and give what I think is a reasonable opinion of the format. Now, all of the decks you see here, pretty much, are on Game With, so you can have a look on there for some ideas. I disagree with their rankings, pretty significantly on a few decks, but generally speaking, the decks I say are good. But anyway, enough of that rambling. I'll just quickly go through the decks that I'm going to be talking about at the bottom here, just in case you don't know what some of them are. So this is normal, like, white android control white. This is Battle Spirit white. This is not really Battle Spirit purple. It's like it's that Andros Battle Spirit purple. Like it uses the two. This is Enrico. This is like a mill deck. So you might have seen this one on ladder. It's a really cool deck. Actually, it's quite good. Spoilers. This is mid-range blue. This is Lachesis burn blue, and there are a couple variants of burn blue. There's 2 variants of burn blue, so this is one of them. This is, of course, red battle spirits and red golems, or evokers, whatever. This is tree, as I'm sure you can tell. This is not generic Anju decks. This is going to be the other variant of burn blue, which I believe is the best current way to play Anju, certainly that I've seen. This is blue OTK. It's an OTK deck. This is yellow Angela, that 2-cost based deck. This is white OTK. And this is a green elf. So you can see there's quite a few OTK decks in here, but anyway, let's go ahead and get started with this little discussion here. Actually, before I do, just quickly going over the tiers. So obviously there is broken, there is amazing, there is great, there is good, and there is average. Those are how I'm doing my tiers. I'm not doing 1, 2, whatever, because I think, like, generally, like, you can win with most decks in this game. It just comes down to a combination of luck, playing the game properly, and what your opponent gets effectively. Like, it's, you know, the worst deck on this list could very easily be the best deck on this list. It just, you know, a lot of factors. This is a pretty well balanced game, all things considered. So yeah, that's why I've decided to do my tiers like that. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started with White Android. Now, this is, for those of you who remember, or those of you who were playing back at the very beginning of the game launch for those few weeks before we got Forbidden, this was the #1 deck back then. Nowhere, well, not nowhere, it's not as good now. It's still pretty damn good, though. I wouldn't say it's broken, absolutely not. I wouldn't really say it's amazing either. I'd put it in great. I think it's a great deck. It's, you know, the problem with it is it's just a little slow, and you can lose, and like, so I don't think it's a really great deck to ladder with, but in terms of a deck to play, it's pretty good. I also think it's weaker than White Battle Spirits. So, like, a White Battle Spirits kind of does everything this deck does, but better, which is a bit of an issue for it, but I think it's good. I definitely think it's good. So speaking of White Battle Spirits, this is, of course, the deck with crazy tools like Woden. The deck, like, it actually uses, like, the control whites evoker base minion a lot of the time, from what I've seen. You know, it just it's got some very powerful tools. The White Battle Spirit stuff is really good. The issue with the deck is it's slow. That is literally the only issue. But once it gets going, it's really difficult to stop, and you can just find yourself losing. So you got to go fast against this deck. So I think it's amazing. I think it's really good. Next, onto our purple deck. So this is the Andros Battle Spirit kind of version. this is a very, very powerful deck. It's one of the most played decks on ladder. I'm sure you have experienced it. For those of you who aren't 100% aware of like the reason it's so good, basically the big buff was the new base minion, the card battler base minion, because that gave us a 0-cost skeleton, so we can play Andros turn 5 on curve and slap down the skeletons who immediately go into level 2. And then there's a lot of recursion stuff that came in. You have access to some really good removal, and like it all just comes together to make a really threatening deck that's really hard to deal with. Your stuff gets really big, your Androsses get really big, they get massive DP, only one of them needs to hit to win the game basically. You build up like 2 Androsses, it can be really basically impossible for your opponent to stop if they don't deal with them immediately. It's really tough. So yeah, this deck is also amazing. I think it's also amazing, yeah. Next we got this Enrico deck, and this is a weird one. Basically, what it does is Enrico's effect is when it enters the field, both players discard their hands and draw 5. So the idea is effectively you just mill your opponent out as long as you have more cards in deck than your opponent. Because in Zenonzard you don't lose the game the second you draw your last card. It's like the second you have to draw and you can't. So like even if it mills you out as well, it's fine. Because you just end your turn and you go over to your opponent's turn, they try and draw and they lose. This deck's really good because one of the things you do is you don't attack. You don't give your opponent flash timings and things, you just defend. That's all you do. And the whole game plan is for your opponent to mill out. So when you go against decks that actually deck thin and filter and like do that kind of stuff, it's actually worse for them to do what their deck is meant to do. I don't think this deck is broken. One of the issues is you do need to play like 2 to 3 Enricos. That takes a long time. If your opponent is able to just bash through your defenses, you'll lose the game. So I think it's great. I do think it's better than white, honestly, than Android white. I think it's really good. Next we have blue mid-range, and this is a deck which I said people were underestimating at the start of the format back then. No one was really talking about it. People have given it the due respect it deserves at this point. As you can see, there's actually a lot of blue decks on this because blue's kind of popping at the moment. And yeah, this is a very solid deck. It's not impossible to stop, and the issue with it is the top decks in the meta can stop it with relative ease. Relatively easily. It's like purple and white pretty easily, but red still struggles a little bit, but it can deal with it. So that and the blue mirror match is obviously a bit of a clusterfuck there. But yeah, this is definitely a very powerful deck. It goes reasonably quickly. Like turn 4, 5, you can be trying to kill your opponent. And if they don't have, depending on the matchup, if they don't have like the removal to instantly deal with it, they just lose. Which is really good. The deck has very useful tools, very good tools to deal with all kinds of matchups in the form of just shoving stuff into base. It's a powerful deck. It's on mid-rangey thing. So yeah, I think it's better than White Android as well. So I think it's a great deck. Next we have Lachesis Burn. So the Lachesis Burn, the Virtue Burn. So this is like use Virtue with like so she adds like the 0-cost chain, the 4-cost chain to hand, it becomes 0 cost. You use that, you stop a thing attacking, you burn them for 1. So you can burn them that way. You use Lachesis to swap ideally with one of your 1 life forces if they've attacked into it over the course of the game. So then they go down to 1. You have like I think it's Howling Voice or something to burn them for 1 on their turn as well. There's just a generic burn thing. The reason I'm going to put this deck in good is it is good. It's not great because its win con is very linear, like it has to do the same thing each game, and it can be disrupted reasonably easily. Like if your Phoenix gets destroyed, you're kind of fucked. If both your forces get destroyed, your whole game plan is done. There's no way to come back from that. But if your opponent can't deal with it, if you open well enough to just deal with everything they try to do, then the deck just wins. So it's a good deck. It's a good deck. Okay, we've got. I don't know how much I really need to talk about this deck. It's Red Battle Spirits. It's the top dog. It is the format shaper. Golem summoning goes burr. So following the nerfs, I'm not 100% sure how I feel. I think I'm going to make a video talking about Red Battle Spirits and whether or not I do think they need a nerf following the buffs. So I won't talk about that too much now, but I think they are still the best deck. They still see the most play on ladder. It's gotten a lot better since the buffs. I think people are a lot more willing to play other decks now, so the ladder experience has definitely been a lot better. I've been seeing a lot of purple as well. So yeah, it's pretty good. Now between white and purple, actually, who's better? I think I am going to keep white here, but this is like these two are very, very, very close. It's hard to tell, but I think red is definitively better. I don't think it belongs in broken. I don't think that. I think it is top of amazing, but you know, before the buffs it was definitely close. Now post buffs it's a bit better. But yeah. Okay, Evoker red. This is really good. Golem red is really, really, really good. It's basically Diana, who has just rocked up and gone, yeah, boy. It just goes brr, basically. Now, to be fair, you don't necessarily even run the Evoker base minion, the legendary one, in the Golem deck nowadays. You can, it's an option. A lot of the times you don't even do it. This image is just here because it's kind of synonymous with golems more than the fact that it's really being run necessarily nowadays. There's like a whole other Evoker deck, but you know, we'll ignore that Evoker deck because it's not as relevant to the like this. I mean, it's kind of the same deck. Like it's just like you tend to see the other base minions that are like adding spells to hand things rather than this one. In those matchups, it's not as if they might still run it, they might not. It's like this is nowhere near as an essential card, but they're also running Evoker base minions. I'm rambling, you get the fucking point. This is a fantastic deck. It obviously Diana just goes burr, like it gives them so much aggro output. It's very, very strong. I think it's probably the best great deck. It's really strong. It's really hard to deal with because they go so quickly. And the fact that Diana just like all they need to really do is get you down to 4, because if they get you down to 4 before they put down Diana and you don't have an answer to immediately pop Diana, they need 2 attacks to go through, and that's really easy when they have a board full of like 2 crits, like with 2 crits with 2 DPs, like 4 to 5 of them. Like it's really hard to do anything about that. So yeah, I mean the deck's great. Next we got Tree. Tree's really good. Tree's really, really, really good. I said Beyond is probably the best great deck, but that's more because of you know, like the ease, which is like Tree's a little bit harder to get a win for, and you can lose more often with it. It's still really good. Don't get me wrong. So it definitely belongs up here. You could make an argument for Amazing. To be fair, you could probably make an argument for Amazing, and I'm not 100% sure how I feel about it. The issue with Tree is, I know it's got a lot of respect on the Japanese server, and I know it's a good deck. I just don't. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm putting it Amazing. I wasn't 100% sure on it. It was in my mind. I was like, when I was talking about putting the Evoker deck top of great, I was like, yeah, but Tree. Yeah, I think Tree goes in Amazing. Fuck it. Yeah, it's not my opinion matters anyway. Okay, right. Then we've got Anju. Now this is for another blue burn variant. This is, I think, the best blue burn variant. I think it's really good. It's really fun. I know Bonobo, the Japanese YouTuber, he makes some English content. I suggest you go check him out. Made a video about this. This was and I decided to play it this rank season. It's been pretty 50-50. Day 1 was fantastic. Day 2 was awful. So you know. It is kind of opening hand dependent, but it is a really powerful deck, and the important thing about it is it has options, right? Like, Lachesis is not your only win con. You can do things if you don't get Lachesis. You can win through just burning throughout the course of the game. The issue is, if you go against purple, that's really tough because they start with 7 life. But I think it's really good. So I'm going to slap it in the middle of great. Then we have got this blue OTK deck, and there's another one. Look, OTKs are OTKs, you get the idea. Blue goes brr, haha. It's pretty good. Probably better than probably like there. Yellow Angela. This is another very, very powerful deck. Yeah, super tough to deal with, honestly. If it gets going, you need to stop it like when it starts, right? Like the second they play down the Angela, you need to remove that Angela. You need to remove Kathleen if you can as well on your turn and stuff, like, because once they get going, it's so difficult to stop the deck. It builds its stuff up way too big, and you just can't do anything about it. Very, very, very powerful deck. I believe it belongs at the upper end of great. Okay, 2 more decks. We've got a white OTK deck here, and this is going to be one where Game With has put this as the second best deck in the game, and I just do not see it. Maybe I suck with the deck. Maybe I just suck with the deck. It's possible. I've recorded a showcase of it. I haven't. It's uploaded. It's scheduled. I haven't published it yet because it just went really badly, and I was like, okay, the first time I tried it out, I got it. The deck was fun. It worked. But the more I play it, the more I'm like, is this really good? Like, it does not win anywhere near as consistently as a 9.5 out of 10 rating on Game With would have you believe. So it's like, you know, I think it's a good deck, but nothing better than good. I'm just really confused why it's rated so highly. If someone can educate me on why it's broken and why I'm just doing it wrong, I'd genuinely appreciate it, because I'm really baffed about it. So at the moment I'm putting it in good, but I suppose that one's really subject to change if I find out I've just been playing the deck wrong, which I suppose is possible. But yeah, and the final deck is going to be Green Elf, and I'm going to slap this one there. Green Elf, it's, you know, it was the contesting top dog in the previous format. It's fallen off hard because, you know, every other deck, every other colour got so much stuff. But Elf's literally got like 1 or 2 cards that were actually run, so it hasn't really changed how the deck plays much and how it deals with the current meta and stuff. But you know, it's not a bad deck. You can still win with it. It's just a little bit tough. So that is my opinion of the meta. So you can see, I mean, this is what I think. This is how I think the power level of each deck is. I think you could ladder with any deck on this tier list, to be honest. You'll have a tougher time with decks in good than you will in amazing. If you want the easiest time, just play Red Battle Spirits and just burr. You know, that will let you ladder quite easily. But it's not as if you can't play other decks, as I'm sure the diversity of ladder in recent days has shown you. So that's the tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. If you did, please leave a like on the video. Please comment why I'm wrong, why I suck at the game, or any other content you would like to see me make. Please join my Discord server. There is a link in the description. And finally, please subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers before the end of the summer, so I would really appreciate it if you helped me reach my goal. So again, thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's video. Cheers.